want to ask you something. When was the last time you posted something on Instagram just because you felt like sharing it, not because it fit the content calendar or it was super highly viral strategic? When was the last time that you used your social media as a social channel? Or that you replied to a comment with a ha 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 lol, not just with a heart or a double tap or, a quick emoji, but an actual real sentence and opinion without you thinking, is this too much or I don't have time for this? I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, the honest answer to this is a while ago. Hello, and welcome to Fail to Win, the show where we love to make mistakes and learn from them so you can turn your passion into profits and live life on your own terms. I'm Amy van der Putten from FastForwardAmy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode with simple strategies every Tuesday. What happened is many of us who've been here for a couple of years, let's say over 5 years, because 50% quit within the first 5 years, I think many of us got so focused on scaling that we forgot what the word social actually meant. And so what happened is Instagram started getting treated like a broadcasting channel, a one-to-many channel, a place to push content out, where you could optimize the caption, where you could run a Claude script on it, where you could just schedule, move on, check the stats, turn off your phone and repeat. And I am going to be the first person who tells you, I love turning off my phone. I love the Opal app. It blocks my phone. I plan out almost all of my content and it feels good. And it has felt good. And it's also why I've created an entire system around it, to which I just closed registrations as my authority system. But there's something else that happens, is that if you overplan and over-strategize everything and you limit yourself to only producing strategy, somewhere along the way, connection is going to dry up. Comments are going to get shorter. DMs are going to stop because people start realizing there's just a robot on the other side of the phone. And that's when a lot of people start blaming the algorithm. But I don't think the algorithm made social media less human. We all did. And so when I was preparing for this episode, I was like, how am I going to put this out there? Because it seems like I'm preaching two things. I think what has happened for me is a few years ago, my tone of voice felt off. I felt like the content my team was pushing out was not me. And what I did is I took my content back and I started recreating from my own tone of voice. I started rewriting everything myself. This was before I started using AI. Then I started using AI. I trained it to have my tone of voice as well. I already shared this in the last couple of episodes, but I'm also still learning there and optimizing. I think you learn stuff every month. And two things happened there is one, I started posting consistently and streamlining everything, which felt really great because when you're consistent, you beat 80% of people. And then there's another really interesting thing that happened for me is because of the content being planned out, because my base layer of what I call my always on content, so that's like my newsletter, my podcast, like the important stuff, because that is planned out, I started having creativity again to create content in the moment. And this is such a paradox, but it's also what I'm teaching my authority accelerator clients. I've told them, like, this isn't to chip away your creativity, it's actually to bring back your creativity. Because when you don't have to create content last minute anymore, at a certain point, you'll start feeling like creating content, and because you will start tapping into your opinions again, and you will start feeling creativity. And I felt this happening, especially in January. I was in Dubai and I had all of my content planned out, which felt really great. And then I was like, you know what? Something really funny happened in my hotel room. So I filmed the funny thing in my hotel room and I was like, should I post this on my stories? Like, what are people going to think about this? And I thought, it's pretty funny. And then I thought, what if I post this on my feed? Because what if I just try that? And this was something very bottom of funnel, not for a new audience. And the results shook me. My story views went up dramatically, even though static had been getting a lot more views than the video. My hook was really bad. You had to watch for I think over 15 seconds to get what the video was about. And I didn't time it. There was probably a different post going online within the hour, but I just posted it on my feed and it performed amazingly because I was genuinely excited and laughing. And this is basically what I want to talk to you about, because there are so many business coaches online always preaching black or white. And I don't believe in either black or white. I believe in a lot of things at the same time and a lot of cycles. And currently the landscape is changing. So what's happening, in my opinion, oh, and I just got 2 sales in. How amazing. So fun. I'm selling more low ticket. I'll create an episode about that next week or the week after. And this feels good. Love that. Like, I got 2 sales of 27 euros in, just like from one person, because one is an order bump. I love it when a 27 euro sale turns into a 54 euro sale. Okay, back to the episode. So what happens is, when you scale your content strategy and you stop being human, it can cost you, because people can feel like there's nobody home. And I think this is especially true in the AI landscape. And I want to preface this by saying there are creators doing this differently. They can do their thing. This is from my point of view, coaching 5, 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs, and what we're all noticing. And if you are like me, you're scrolling on the couch and you feel like content is just bland, and you stop scrolling because you're like, this is all boring. This is all the same. I don't get inspired anymore. Blah. This episode is for you, because when you feel that way, it often means that you are contributing to that as well. Or if it triggers you, it means you need to make the difference. So people can start feeling like there's nobody home. Audiences have become incredibly good at sensing when content is produced versus when it's communicated, when it's output created to cater to many versus when it's a person just talking to them. And it doesn't matter how perfect the caption is or how well planned out it is. When there is no human behind it, when there's no soul behind it, people will feel it. And I know there are marketing agencies producing a lot of content with AI who will be like, no, this is all great. And I'm not saying don't use AI. I'm just saying, what if not every post had to be optimized and we could also just be connecting online? Connection is not a byproduct or like a nice to have. It is really essential. If you look at the brands you love following, chances are they're creating videos when they're getting ready. They don't have to be makeup videos. I follow this one female doctor, and I think I watched a video of her without makeup talking about an opinion she had. And I know she also just had a miscarriage. It's like a whole thing. And I know that she was telling me her real opinions, right? When I look at people, for example, creating ads versus normal videos, I follow a couple of comedians. I can tell when they genuinely thought something was really funny themselves, and like they just rewatched their own video 10 times, versus when they made an ad and they're feeling a little bit like, oh, I don't know if I stand behind this or if this was that funny. So people can feel it, people can sense it. And I think the easiest parameter here is, are you rewatching your own content? Are you cracking up? Are you interested? Are you reading every slide? Just like with sales, what I taught in last week's episode, if you're not buying from yourself, why would someone else buy from you? If you're not watching your own stories again because you think they're hilarious or so spot on, why would anyone else? So the algorithm is massively rewarding relationship signals, not just content quality, but like saves and shares and watch time are your most important metrics. But of course, there's other stuff that's really important too, like, comments, conversations, just a bunch of that stuff. But the accounts that are growing fastest right now are not the ones producing the most content, although I am a fan of volume. You know this. I love me some structures and systems that, distribute. But the accounts growing fastest are literally the ones that are getting the most shares and saves and comments. That's it. So is your content worthy? And so what's happened here is everything got less personal because AI has made this worse. And it's what I said, I think 2 episodes ago. AI can multiply your content strategy, but it cannot multiply your lack of humanity if you didn't put it in there in the first place. So when everyone around you is producing super polished, super optimized AI assistant content, the person who just shows up and yaps is the person people are listening to. I said this a month ago, like, people are going to start craving lower dopamine content again. And what I mean by that is just content where someone is just talking and there's not a bunch of super fast cuts and edits and stuff. Someone is actually talking to you like a human, stumbling over their words like I do in the podcast. People are going to start craving that again because their brain is just going to get fried. One of my employees just sent me an article on AI brain fry. It's like everything goes so fast. People are so overstimulated. And I can already see that there are more yapping videos online because your presence is now the thing that differentiates you from other people. And I think we could even go so far as calling it your soul. Not necessarily your production quality, although there are standards, but like your realness, your soul, your own eyes that light up when you talk about a certain topic. And so when you, for example, started your brand by being really present and you built a super loyal, real audience, well, when you lose that as you scale, the human layer is going to get replaced, and that audience, that you built by being real is going to get lost. So what I have been doing is not planning my content and not batching, because I love a good batch. I'm batching my podcasts as we speak, and I'm going to create quotes from this and create carousels, and I love all of that. But what that has allowed me to do is also free up new time to look at which impact do I want to make. And the easiest test for this for me is when I have white space. Do I have opinions I want to share? Do I have stuff I want to talk about? And often that is the case. What I have noticed for a lot of entrepreneurs as well is that they start to grow their brand when they work by themselves and they're very real. But then the moment they start having a team and they start having a bigger audience and they start getting into trouble, for example, a team member gets annoying or quits, they don't want to talk about it publicly, so they start being a lot less open. This is something you need to pay attention to. This happened to me. I was like, oh, I don't want to shit talk about my team. I don't want to talk only about issues. But as you scale, it gets really difficult to continue to open up about stuff. So this is something to pay attention to. But I think I want to inspire you to do something small. And I'm going to start with a little analogy. Let's say you had a physical shop. Even at the point where you had someone in the shop working for you from 10 to 5. I have a good friend of mine. She has a shop with knitwear. Amazing shop. And even when she has people working there, she'll often stop by. Or she'll go and open the door and she'll say hello. And even when one of the people who works for her is at the cash register checking out with the client, she'll say hello to the person who's buying her knitwear, right? She'll go on a real conversation and ask them how they're doing. No one at this stage in her shop expects her to keep the shop open all the time, to not have staff doing that. But do they expect her to just ignore the shop? No, they expect her to still care about the shop. Just a few minutes a day to just open the door, to say something, to say hello, and to be excited about the new collection that just dropped. And so I think that's how we should look at social media, even as we scale. And I think there is truly a massive opportunity here. And what's happening now is, I think if a bunch of creators who are never showing up in real time are losing this. I've shared this a few episodes ago, but I have gone through a bit of a rough time in my personal life during winter. And so I relied heavily on my planned in content. And I'm really happy I did that. And it carried so much. And I also know if I would do that forever and ever, there would be some soul lost in my content unless I spent some more time on the content in the back end. But as I was repurposing content and I really didn't have the brain space to infuse more of my personality, I didn't. So I do think you could just not show up in real time, but spend more time on your content in the back end and still bring the soul. But for me, what's been just really nice is when you have your baseline content planned out, let's say your middle of funnel content, and then you can actually challenge yourself. If my social media was a shop, what would I put in my window? Would I say hello to clients? And I think there's so many business owners right now, business gurus, even saying like, oh, you don't have to show up in real time and this and that. But also those are the people who have grown to millions of followers, huge ass teams, often in the US. I want to challenge you to look at who do you like following and who do you like buying from? And maybe you love following super polished accounts. I love following people. I love following humans who don't have it all figured out. I love following people who say like, oh, I just made a mistake and this is how I fixed it. I love people who don't just share when the storyline has become a perfect, rags to riches story to share. I love it when people are still like a little bit bandaged. I shared about that in the a content episode, I think it was in February, where I said, like, you have 3 levels of sharing with vulnerability. And a lot of people will share when it's scabbed over, which means, the wound has already closed. And you can do that. You can share only after the fact. But I find so much power and inspiration in the brands who share when they're bandaged, when they're sharing like, oh, I just went through that and I'm sharing it. Kind of like what I hope to do now with you is I hope to inspire you that, I also have lower seasons where I can't give it my all, where I had to show up with, what was possible, and that was less than I would have wanted. And at the same time, now that I have more energy, I'm getting really bored of the content I see online. I'm literally thinking to myself, how can I make a change here? So I'm going to give you a really, really personal example. And then let's see what you can do with that. Is I know that my story views go up when I post a single story slide. I know that I can create perfect scripts with AI. And I know that I could build a really smart brand. This is going to be, you're the first person I'm saying this to, but I could build a really smart brand if I built it like, for example, Grace Beverly. I love following Grace Beverly's account. And she has become really, really smart. She does not talk about money. She occasionally talks about her team, but she does it very much in a big sister way. And like, she's very much a girl's girl, and her content just screams that. And now she's having a family. I'm like, I'm so happy for her. I love following her. And she's very consciously not branding Tala, for example, towards only CEOs. She's branding it to girls who work for a company as well. She's not just targeting entrepreneurs. So her content is also very nice to follow as a non-entrepreneur. Me personally, I am desperately craving brands like, I'm going to say like someone like an Amy Porterfield, or people I'm going to say look up to, people I very much respect, to actually show behind the scenes content. So who I've really, really appreciated? Leila Hormozi's podcast. It's called Build. She sends out a newsletter to her team every week. And you can actually subscribe to that newsletter. And this is really stupid coming from me being like, hey, you should go to her podcast and subscribe to her newsletter. But she's relentless. Like she just sends out a newsletter to her team, and I read it. I'm like, whoa, shit, I need to level the fuck up. Like, I love that someone like her just shares so transparently, and transparency is one of my values. So I made a decision about my content, and I hope that by the time you listen to this episode, you're going to have seen it. I made the decision that my stories are not going to be optimized for views. Not all of my content is going to be optimized for views. And I'm not going to be the girl next door. I'm going to be the CEO who shares, hey, my friends are skiing and I'm actually working today. I'm going to preface this by saying I really value freedom. I just did not have a vacation week planned this week, and I just decided to join my friends on a skiing trip. And, I like taking vacations and stuff. I just don't love walking around with the skis and being on the mountain. And I just, I didn't plan this week to take a week off, and I had responsibilities towards my team that I didn't want to get out of, and I didn't actually need a vacation. So a lot of the business gurus I know would hide that, and they turn every single fucking thing, sorry for my words, into this perfect ass storyline. But when I posted on my stories earlier this week what I do every single Monday morning to not lose focus, and which tasks I do, and how I try to not open Slack, I saw someone screenshot my story and post it to her stories about how important it is to track your finances, and that this was such a good example. And I was like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted to do. That story got less views than other stories. That was less pretty. It will actually turn off a lot of people. A lot of people will have opinions about that. But I would love watching that content. And I am, like, past me is my ideal client now. So I've decided I'll make that content. And this is what I want to challenge you on this week, as we're in this online business reset series. The thing you're afraid of posting, being too casual, too real, too unpolished, too present, too human, whatever, might actually be what your audience is really hungry for right now. Because everyone is scaling, everyone is talking about systems, me included, I will say this, but nobody's actually showing up for real. And I think when you get to be the one who shows up, who actually talks on camera, I would number one thing I would recommend everyone doing is just talk on camera every single day. Do that for 21 days, and I guarantee you are going to see a change in your business. It might not mean you're going viral, and that's not necessarily the point, but people are going to notice that you show the fuck up. And when you show up, they're going to show up for you because they're going to want to be your client. So, what would happen if you stopped broadcasting and you started actually talking to people? So, what I created for you is I've created a list of 50 actions you can take for your Instagram right away. I created a sales actions checklist a couple of months ago. It got downloaded so many times, and I was like, oh, what if I created that for Instagram? So I have 50 actions you can take for your Instagram right now to kickstart your growth again. And what I would love to challenge you on is to actually, yes, systems, yes, content plan, yes, batching. I'm the queen of consistency and batching. I urge you to do it. And also, once you do that, start showing up again. Or if you can't batch right now, do this then. Show up every day. Show up for yourself. Show up for your audience. Show up and be of service and be a fucking human in an AI-fueled world. And I don't mean late at night. I don't mean giving up your freedom or your time with friends. As I said, like I was launching this week, my friends didn't even notice it. Every moment we've been together for lunch, breakfast, dinner, I've been super present. But when I was working, and I showed up for my audience. And if you had a shop, you would say hello to clients. So why are you not saying hello on Instagram? So I'll link the Instagram lists in the description of this episode, or just message me Insta50 on Instagram. I created it both in Dutch as well as in English, so go ahead and grab that. And then last but not least, I want to share a little secret with you. So I noticed when I was launching my authority accelerator, when I was talking about the system, that a lot of people dug the system. And I was like, yeah, you can do all of this. You don't have to be online. And I noticed that a lot of people are like, but I want to hustle and I want to be online and I want to create vlogs and I want to grow my account. And I realized that because I have been online for such a long time and I really craved those systems and structure, I might have forgotten about the people who are not in a phase yet where they want to batch and they want to systemize, but they just want to show up and they just want to train themselves on showing up and getting past that fear and starting to get consistent. So I made a mini authority accelerator. It's called Followed, and it is my new program. It's a smaller program than the authority accelerator. And this is specifically for you if you want to train yourself to show up, to attract a new follower, to attract new ideal clients in your audience, and you want to grow your account. You want to start showing up as an authority, not saying in baby steps, but you want to take your growth seriously and you are not afraid to hustle for it. I'll always tell everyone, please don't hustle and hit a burnout. I don't want that for everyone, but I do believe you have to put in the work if you want the results. So if you want to do it in a sustainable way, you want to learn how you can reach your ideal audience, how you can get new followers in every day, and, just make it happen online and put the social back into social media and make sure your messaging is tight and you're, really putting out content that you are proud of and you would love watching. Go and check it out. It's called Followed, and I'm pretty sure you're going to love it. I'll link it in the description below, or just message me on Instagram and message me Followed. Okay? Have so much fun, and I'll talk to you next week, Tuesday.